Texas state government is getting ready to put into effect a new law that is going to give the Secretary of State of that state, which is appointed by the governor, the ability to overturn elections, but not in general, just in one place, in the state's biggest county, and that is actually for a very specific reason. We're gonna jump into why they're doing this. Here first is what they're gonna do. According to the text of the bill, the Secretary of State, a position appointed by Republican Governor Gregg Abbott, currently held by Jane Nelson, would have the authority to throw election results in counties wherein 2% or more of the polling locations ran out of ballot paper for more than an hour. Okay, so why are they doing this? Well, there's a couple of reasons. The ostensible reason why they're doing it is that they could throw it out, they could do a new one, and they might need to, because back in Harris County during the 2022 midterm elections, there were 26 of the county's 782 polling locations, which had issues with not having enough ballot paper. So there was a period where people couldn't vote, okay? Despite the obviously very small number of locations that were affected, and the fact that I haven't seen anyone make the case that those 26 were more likely to have Republican votes than Democrats, who were also stopped from voting. Whatever, we'll gloss over that. Some Republicans are claiming that they lost their elections because of that very, very small number that for a brief period did not have ballot paper. Now, hold up, because I know what you're thinking. Wouldn't the solution to this problem being funding enough paper? No, that's too complicated to buy paper then have it be there. No, better to set up this system wherein you can cancel out the results of an election. And isn't it interesting the way that this is worded? So the text of legislation doesn't explicitly mention Harris County at all. So why are we saying that this is who it would affect? Well, it would vest in the Secretary of State the power to apply this only to counties with populations higher than 2.7 million. Harris has 4.7 million. It's the biggest county in Texas. You know what the second highest is? Dallas. You know how many people they have? 2.6 million. And that is just, man, we've been talking about politics, Jayar, for a really long time, and you don't often come up with coincidences as wild as this. It was 2.7, which is a nice round number, and it just so happens to mean that Dallas, which is more conservative, would not be affected. By the way, even if you could do it to Dallas, they wouldn't, because it's more conservative. So this is needlessly pointing out how specifically targeted this is to allow them to overthrow the results of an election in an area where Democrats are more common than Republicans. This is not just authoritarian, it's not just designed to give them the ability to redo elections that they don't like, but it's spitting in the face of everyone who is trying to fight back against this anti-democratic wave. What do you think?
Yeah, no, this is the next step after all of the election denialism, of course, from Trump, Kerry Lake, folks like that. But then as this was happening, I remember many folks were saying, hey, as they're trying to get this coup together or overturning of democracy, pay attention to them finding a way to plug the holes that didn't allow them to do it. Because we saw some of the backdoor room deals and conversations about their plans. We can throw out this election result and that election result, and this particular subordinate didn't do it, so therefore we should do that to them. All these things they're tightening up for the next few election cycles so they can get it quote unquote right next time. This is one of those moves. And again, as you point out, it's very specific. But there's one other part about this that I did notice as well, John. The person would have the authority to throw out these election results. So even if it does get to those other counties or those other numbers that do fall within this parameter or high enough, but they still wanna use those votes because maybe it went their candidate's way, they don't have to throw it out. They just have the authority to do. So they can see it. Maybe paper ran out at one of those conservative districts and they're like, well, we could, but I have the authority to. I don't really choose to, though. It can continue to be a rigged ball game here.
Yeah, and 100%. By the way, it's not even just that they can redo the election and theoretically the turnout in a second election would be way lower. That's why you would want to do this. It's not even just that. They're doing different kinds of things like this in a bunch of different places, specifically targeting big cities that have a lot of Democrats in them, and also not coincidentally a lot of people of color in them, so that they can potentially affect the results of elections, but also so they can cast official doubt on the results of elections. Just saying, like going to the Supreme Court and being like, I don't like what they did in Houston, that's not great. But saying our Secretary of State was forced to redo the election, that seems more official. It provides a little bit more of a veil over the attempt to change national elections. And so, definitely something to look out for. Absolutely insane. Greg Abbott says he's going to sign it. Why wouldn't he? He despises the idea of a free and fair, open election. So prepare yourself, Texas.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.